In part 1, we showed how to produce this schematic. We now continue and show how to lay out and track our PCB, followed by how to produce the plot files to get our printed circuit board manufactured. The method is to translate the schematic to a PCB using Translate to PCB on the Tools menu. This will launch the new PCB wizard, which will lead you through all the required steps. Firstly, we select the PCB technology, for which there are some predefined options available, from a single-sided board through to a 6-layer board. Here we select the double-sided board. Do not select None. This option is available for advanced users and will require considerable configuration. Click Next and we are presented with a Layers option list. Choosing Use Layers from the chosen design technology is recommended. Clicking Next, we can see our basic PCB size, or select from the many standard board outlines. If you know the specific board size required, enter the dimensions. If not, just enter something close or use the default dimensions, as they are very easy to change during the PCB layout process. Here we just accept the defaults and select Next. The final window allows us to name the PCB design file. Ensure you check the box to add the design to the current project. There is a further option to add the components to the component bin. This is useful for more complicated designs and avoids cluttering up the PCB editor window. Here we leave this unchecked and the components will be placed around the board. Click Finish and your PCB editor tab is prepared. For demonstration purposes, I have rearranged the design windows to show both the schematic and PCB views side by side. Use the Windows Tile option to do this. Alternatively, keep each view maximized and use the tabs to select the required view. The components above the board outline are ready to be placed. With this simple design, U1 is the key part, so let's position that. Use Shift and a left mouse click to select U1 and position on the PCB. You will see the yellow connection lines update to show the other component pads connected to U1. These yellow lines are referred to by various names, such as air wires, rubber bands, rat's nest, to name a few. In more complicated designs, they prove useful to optimize the component positions and orientation. So don't think of these as clutter. They are a very useful feature. Next we decide that C2, which provides power supply decoupling, should be placed close to U1. Select C2 and move near to U1. You'll notice the air wires cross, so we decide to rotate C2. Use the shortcut key R for 90-degree rotation and repeat until the orientation is as required. Position and click to place. What to place next? This is for you to decide based upon what are sensitive signal lines to keep short to avoid noise pickup, or what are high current or high frequencies that should have short tracks to avoid radiated noise. In this simple design, we do not have any general issues, so I select the highest current circuit and place R3 and LED 1. So again, select, orientate and place at the location required. We now repeat for the remaining components and keep the track lengths as indicated by the air wires as short as possible. Connectors and headers may have other positioning requirements dictated by off-board requirements such as cable routes. Any component can be selected and moved as required during the design process, as can the PCB board edges. With our components placed, we are now ready to route the copper tracks, so we maximise the PCB view and use Zoom All to start the manual routing. Double click on the air wire close to the pad you wish to start routing from. But which side of the PCB are the tracks being placed? Press the shortcut key L for layers and a dialog box will open, showing the old layer, which is where the tracks will be placed. If this is as required, press the escape key or click cancel to keep this layer and exit the dialog box. If you wish to change the layer and accept a new layer, press enter or click OK. In this instance, we wish to route on the bottom copper layer and press enter. Place your tracks and route as required. Click to position at each point. At the destination pad, you will see a crosshairs symbol indicating the track will be placed to the centre of the pad when clicked. Continue routing. At H1, we have an air wire showing a required track between the two external pins. Select the air wire as normal. If this is difficult, zoom in using the numeric keys or the mouse scroll wheel to make this easier. In this instance, I'm not happy with the track I place, so I used undo and then repeat. To make this easier, I decided to change the segment mode. Right click to display the context options. Select segment mode and you will see it is currently in mitre mode. From the options, I decide orthogonal mode will be better. Continue routing until complete. As shown, the segment mode can be continuously changed as required. You can move components as required, but you may need to tidy up any tracks after the component moves. Our PCB is now ready for manufacture. Well, almost. An important check is to perform a design rules check. From the Tools menu, select the Design Rules check or use the Design Rules check on the toolbar. The checkboxes shown are the minimum that should be checked. You can progressively add more as you resolve any errors reported. A check report is produced for you to investigate. Here we have one error reported as a gap in the net N0009. Close or minimize report. You will see the reported errors identified on the PCB. However, using the go-to bar and selecting error can be more useful for your more complicated designs. Clicking the error in the list highlights it on the PCB. But if you zoom in on a random area first, clicking the error maintains the zoom level and centralizes the error on the screen. Correct the error on the PCB and rerun the design rules check until all errors are resolved. As a final tidy up, component references can be selected, moved and rotated for improved visibility and presentation. There are many features and tools to learn about, but we now have a basic PCB layout. How do we get this manufactured? DesignSpark PCB provides several options, but the Gerber RS274X format provides the most widely used format. On the menu bar, select Output and then Manufacturing Plots. The window shows the plot layers. For first-time use, it is suggested that you click the Auto Gen Plots button, then Gerber Manufacturing Plots. Click the Gerber button and we can now configure which plots are produced. In this case, we select all layer plot types and all sides. We also require the NC drill plot for all the pads and holes to be drilled, but we do not require a Gerber drill plot or a drill ident plot. Manufacturers will not require these. Click OK and the plots list will be updated. At this point, we will check that the Gerber format is of the required type. Select Device Setup in the window, then select RS274X. The tick boxes are for the plots required to be generated. As our example design does not use surface mount components, the paste masks are not required. For each plot, the window on the right is solely for the plot selected, shown highlighted. Only one layer is normally selected for each plot file. In the plot files list, there is not a board outline plot. This can be manually added, but many manufacturers will accept the simpler option of adding the board outline to a copper layer plot. Select the top copper plot. The default top copper is already selected. Now toggle the board outline to yes. Some manufacturers will require a dedicated board outline plot. To generate this, click the Add Plot button, and in the window that opens, select Gerber. A new plot file, Plot 1, is added to the plots list. Select this. On the Output tab, rename the plot to Board Outline. Next, on the Layers tab, toggle the board outline to yes. No other settings require changing. But where will our plots be saved? This is set in the options. Click the Options button. It is useful to keep all the plots together with the design files. Here we choose to produce them in a Plots 1 folder within the Design folder. This keeps them with the design project and also as a complete set of plots to send to the manufacturer. You are now ready to produce your Gerber plots. Click the Run button. The plots are generated and a plot report displays, which provides a useful summary of the settings, file name and location, etc. Launching File Explorer, we can see the files produced. We have all our Gerber plots for the selected layers, plus the drill file. It is these that you will need to send to your manufacturer. But first, preview these in a Gerber viewer, just to be certain all is as expected. This may also be done on some manufacturers' websites when you upload your files. Using the online UCAMCO Gerber viewer, we select all the plot files. You can now assign a colour to the plot layers for your viewing and confirm that the plot files are as required.